right. Hello, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started today. Welcome to our webinar this afternoon, Blue Light Solutions Come in Pairs. We appreciate you taking the time to join us today and hope you're having a good Thursday so far. This is OptiPort Communications Manager Erin Meyer, and joining me on the call today to discuss Blue Light Solutions is Master Optician Deb Kotab. During today's call, your phones will be muted, so if you have any questions, please type them into the question box on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll do our best to answer those by the end of the call. Also, a recording of today's presentation will be posted on our members-only website. You can access the member website by going to optiport.com and clicking the login link in the upper right-hand corner. OptiPort continues to grow and bring together the best multi-office practices in the country. The strength of our organization comes from you, our members, and you enable us to bring some of the best programs in the market to you, such as this webinar today. Many of OptiPort's programs would not be possible without the support and sponsorship of our supplier partners, so we want to take a moment and thank Visionese for sponsoring this webinar and for their continued support of the OptiPort membership. And now, I'd like to introduce to you our speaker today, Deborah Kotab. Deb is a master optician with over 20 years of experience in optical. She's owned her own optical shop, so she has unique insights to the challenges that practice owners and opticians face on a daily basis. Deb's areas of expertise include the effects of light on vision, both in the production as well as the destruction of sight, and she's dedicated over 8 years to studying the effects of blue light. Deb currently serves as the ECP Education Facilitator for our sponsor, Visionese, where she trains and develops content for CE courses and optician e-learning tools. So without further ado, welcome, Deb.
Thank you. And thank you to OptiPort and all of its members for attending and for giving us the opportunity to share our blue light solutions and why it's important that they come in pairs. Erin, if you could let me know when you see the screen.
I see your PowerPoint. Yep.
We're good.
There we go.
Okay, for some reason not moving. Okay, so at Visionese, we want to provide meaningful, unique solutions. We want to base them on consumer insights and science. But consumers have changed. Consumers are increasingly in charge of the purchase decision. They're no longer about acquiring material goods just for the sake of acquiring material goods. Now they want the experience and they want products that are going to enhance their lifestyle. These digitally savvy consumers want meaningful products that fit their lifestyle, have a positive impact on their everyday existence. And in our world, they want us to help them see better, feel better, look better, and ultimately live better in their eyewear. We care about our health. We're digitally savvy, so 72% of internet users in 2012 who searched health-related information, of those 219 million were queries on eye health. Sorry, there's a bit of a delay in the screen changing. So sorry. There, finally. Consumers are being bombarded regarding indoor blue light protection. The messages are alarming. And because we're digitally savvy and we get our information digitally, it's really hitting home with us when they tell us that our handheld devices and our laptops and our computer screens are emitting bad light, bad blue light that can be damaging to the eye, interfere with the circadian rhythm, and lead to sleep deprivation and all kinds of physiological and psychological health issues. And as this consumer awareness about our handheld devices and our indoor devices increases our concern, the message is becoming more prevalent about the real danger, which is outdoors. So just to put it in perspective, the intensity of sunlight is such that if you were to stare at it for less than 2 minutes, you would go blind from solar retinopathy. That's really intense energy. And that's why 15 minutes outdoors, the dose that you get from sunlight, is equal to 10 hours indoors looking at your iPhone. 13 hours if you're looking at your computer screen, your laptop screen. So it's just a matter of keeping it in perspective and understanding that blue solutions come in pairs. So in other words, low intensity indoors, high intensity outdoors. Let's get the eyes protected from both. And if we do, indoor plus outdoor is a win-win. It's a win for the consumer because they're going to have better eye health, help protect their eye health, and be more comfortable. It's also a win-win for the practice. Our indoor and outdoor solutions are Vision Ease Clear Blue Filter for indoor and Coppertone lenses by Vision Ease for outdoor protection. Just a little backstory here. We've been talking about blue light protection since 2002 when we introduced the first melanin lens, the first synthetic melanin in the lens to protect the eye from blue light. So I'm going to say in the industry there is not another company out there that has the subject matter expertise on blue light that Vision Ease has. We've put a lot of time and effort into this. We've been on message for a very, very long time. And now I'm really happy to say we have solutions for both indoor and outdoor. With the clear blue filter, you're going to get 3 times more high energy visible light protection than standard polycarbonate at 420 nanometers. You're going to get 100% UV protection. Now that's really an important distinction because what you may not know is that when the term 100% UV protection is used and it doesn't have 400 nanometers attached to it, it's only protecting up to 380 nanometers. So what we really need to be doing, really need to be providing, is protection up to UV 400. Now in the Coppertone lenses, we have 3 different colors, and depending on the colors, it blocks between 94 to 97% of high energy visible light. It also provides UV 400 protection and the highest level in the industry of a reduction in 400 to 500 nanometer blue light. Now with our clear blue filter lens, the name clear blue filter is distinct on purpose. We discovered that the consumer wants clear. They want protection. They're becoming increasingly alarmed about their indoor devices, but they want clear. 96% in our survey of consumers rate lens clarity as highly important in their choice of lenses. They want to be this guy, not this guy. Now let's talk about the health aspects of blue light protection. Protection from high energy, ultraviolet and blue violet light lowers the risk of photo injury to the ocular tissue that has been implicated as a risk factor for macular degeneration, cataracts, and other ocular maladies. And at Vision Ease, the reason we think blue solutions have to come in pairs is that we need to protect the whole eye. It's not just blue light that can damage the eye. As a matter of fact, the retina, in young children particularly, but the retina is an order of magnitude more sensitive to damage from ultraviolet light than it is to visible light. And for that reason, my slide will change. I forgot about this. When it comes to webinars, animation can really slow things down. Okay, so while we're waiting for the screen to catch up, light damage to the eye is cumulative and it's irreversible. There are different parts of our eye that can be damaged. The front of the eye, I'm just going to jump ahead because the screen's just not working. The front of the eye, the conjunctiva, is when exposed to ultraviolet light can develop benign growths called pterygium and pinguecula. The cornea can develop photokeratitis as a result of being exposed to ultraviolet light, the shortest wavelengths, UVB. The lens absorbs and therefore is damaged by UVB and UVA, and hence you develop cataract. And the retina, depending on which cell of the retina, the photoreceptors or the pigment epithelium, is damaged by blue, violet, visible light. Photoreceptors being more damaged by ultraviolet light, up to 440 nanometers in the visible range, and they are the initial site of damage. So it's very, very important that we protect the photoreceptors from ultraviolet and from the violet-blue shortest wavelengths, especially in children, since the damage starts here and it leads to a vicious cycle of further damage, damaging that other layer, the pigment epithelium, which on its own is damaged by the higher energy blue light, 440 to 460 nanometers. Damage is cumulative and it's irreversible, so it's very important that we protect our eyes from harmful effects of high energy light. It may also be compounding, and this is where we know that sunlight is just orders of magnitude greater damage to the eye than indoor light. But what we don't know yet, what hasn't been proven yet, but may be true, and so why not take a precautionary measure, is that indoor light exposure may be additive to outdoor exposure. We know the damage is cumulative, we know it's irreversible, and it may be compounding. Why not take a precautionary measure, especially when it's a simple, clear solution? And we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the most vulnerable, and they are children. The damage starts with the child's eye. 70% more UV ultraviolet reaches their retina, and I've read upwards of 90% more blue reaches a child's retina. Children can benefit the most. They're the most vulnerable. The screen's not working. Again. Okay, so the reason that children can benefit the most and that they're more vulnerable is they are more apt to be indoor and outdoor without a two-pair solution. So that clear pair that they're wearing all the time, indoors and outdoors, it's critical that it protects the eye up to UV 400, especially considering what we just learned. Children are more vulnerable, they get 70% more UV, and UV is an order of magnitude more damaging to the retina than visible light. Using an AR coating to filter out this blue light is impractical for children and more expensive. Children are rapidly accumulating damage to the retina in the first decade of their life. So the question becomes, how many kids can you impact? I've read a stat recently that 20% of purchases of eyeglasses are children. And I also keep in mind that when you're sharing that information, that important information to the parent about their child protecting their eye, they're also getting the message that they need to be protecting their eye. So this graph shows that a young eye absorbs so much more UV and high energy visible blue light. And as we age, our crystalline lens turns yellow, and so we're absorbing less and less blue and less ultraviolet. It's a vicious cycle. It starts with the young. Once the damage is there, damage leads to more damage. And then that damage creates photosensitizers and debris that creates more damage. So it's very much a vicious cycle. Joni Roberts, PhD, professor of chemistry, states this: photosensitizers increase our susceptibility for damage from solar radiation. It's also linked to macular degeneration, blue light, as is ultraviolet. So instead of seeing this beautiful picture with all of its colors, someone with advanced wet macular degeneration will see this. It's like having a big hole in their central vision. If they have the dry macular degeneration, it'll be spots of missing photoreceptors where they're blind. And then with cataracts, both ultraviolet and blue light contribute to the formation of a cataract. So this is a view with an advanced cataract. Outdoor protection must protect the whole eye, eyelids, skin, and surrounding eye. This level of protection is simply not possible indoors if you want to see. We need sufficient light indoors to see. We cannot wear a dark tint indoors. The more blue that's blocked in a clear lens, the more yellow the lens will appear. And if a blue filter AR is applied, then it will have a very visible blue or violet reflection. There are 3 ways to attenuate blue light to reduce the amount transmitting through a lens. And we pause. Okay, I will speak to it then. The 3 ways to attenuate blue light. One will give you a roughly 20% reduction, and it's through a coating. And the coating uses constructive interference to, oh, hold on one second. Okay, so we can use constructive interference where we increase the amount of blue or purple wavelengths reflecting off of a lens. You can virtually double what would naturally reflect off of the surface of a lens. Or we can put a pigment in a lens, a tint in a lens. And depending on how dark that tint is, determines how much blue or violet wavelengths it will prevent from transmitting through. And that pigment has to be of a particular color, yellow, amber. Those are the complementary colors or opposites on the color wheel, and opposites don't attract. So instead, yellow or orange will absorb violet or blue and prevent it from transmitting through the lens. The downside to that, and the reason that we responded with a clear product, is if it's an AR coating, it can be distractively purple or blue. It has an additional process to add the coating. It's more expensive upcharge, and most will allow some UVA light through. Now, we just learned that ultraviolet is an order of magnitude more damaging to the retina than visible light. In the lens, if you put it in the lens, it is going to be a yellowish tan or tint, typically not available in polycarbonate single vision, and a more expensive upcharge. So our alternative is an in-resin. Well, now it's all going to come out. If it's in resin, as ours is, clear blue filter, you can block up to UV 400 completely, 100%. And then, as with all others, you selectively filter blue and violet. We chose the shortest wavelengths because the shorter the wavelength, the higher the energy, the more damaging it is to biological tissue that absorbs it. And we know they want clear. They've asked for clear. And if they won't wear it because it's unattractive or makes them look jaundiced, then they're getting zero protection. So nice that they have an alternative now. The clear blue filter selectively filters the highest energy violet blue wavelength, and filters the highest energy violet blue wavelength and blocks 100% UV 400. That includes 51% being blocked between 380 and 460 nanometers, 66.8% between 400 and 425, which was originally classified as the blue light hazard. And there is 3 times more HEV being filtered than standard polycarbonate up to 420 nanometers. My apologies, screen's frozen again. Okay, so clear blue filter. I've already explained this part to you, that a typical polycarbonate lens, we often say that it has 100% UV protection, but in fact that is only up to 380 nanometers. So it's an important distinction that we protect all the way up to UV 400. Filtering blue light improves vision. It improves contrast sensitivity and it reduces eye strain. Blue light scatters more, and therein lies the problem. Scattered light causes more glare, it causes the loss of contrast sensitivity, it causes image degradation, and it causes eye strain. So filtering blue light improves vision. Blue light can be up to -1 diopters out of focus. This is referred to as blue myopia. And the reason for that is that blue light does not focus on the retina. Indoor glare from devices contributes to eye strain, and blue light coming from those devices also contributes to eye strain. Now, Coppertone lenses are polarized, providing an additional outdoor advantage for blue light protection, adding to driving safety and comfort. At 50 miles an hour, you reduce stopping distance by over 21, not miles, sorry, feet, when wearing polarized versus tinted lenses. Reaction times for drivers wearing polarized sunglasses are up to 40% quicker compared to driving with ordinary sunglasses. We need some blue, and the reason for that is that only visible blue light wavelengths excite our photoreceptors to produce the visual signal. We have 3 types of cones, and all of them have to be stimulated. We have the blue short wavelength cones, meaning they're most sensitive to the short wavelengths. We have the green medium wavelength cones, meaning they're most sensitive to the medium green wavelengths, and the red long wavelength cones. If all of these are stimulated, then we can produce the sensation of 10 million different colors. We need some blue to wake us up and keep us awake and alert. And that's the wavelengths that are linked to our circadian rhythm. They peak between 460 to 480 nanometers. So a clear blue filter will not interfere with this. Outdoors, it doesn't matter. Now, back to Coppertone. Coppertone is an innovation in solar blue light protection for the eye. It's available in 3 great colors. It comes in brown, comes in gray, and now it comes in our new shade, green. The Coppertone brand has 94% brand awareness with your customer. 60% global consumers prefer to buy new products from a familiar brand rather than switch to a new brand. And in a recent survey, 33% were willing to pay more for the Coppertone brand. Coppertone retailers experienced 3 times the growth in the polarized category compared to industry increase in that category. by using Coppertone. So not only does it supply the best outdoor protection from high energy light, but it's also a brand your consumers will trust. So outdoors, they want this nice, happy smile, comfortable eyes, not this poor soul. So finally, show and tell. Every customer gets a Coppertone polarized demonstration. What we find is the most common reason for the consumer not buying polarized sunglasses is that they aren't even aware that they exist. Once they're given a demonstration, the wow factor alone, the magic of it, is usually enough for them to purchase. Now you have the added message of it will also help protect your eye health. In addition, every customer learns why blue solutions come in pairs. Sunlight, more than 100 times more intense. Indoor sources, on the other hand, may add to the cumulative high energy light damage to the eye. Reducing these low-level emissions can provide added protection from the chronic long-term exposure, with the bonus of reducing eye strain. So protect and prevent, indoors and outdoors. Prevention is the best medicine. And in summary, reducing blue light and ultraviolet light may reduce photo damage to the eye and thereby reduce the risk of cataracts and macular degeneration. Will also reduce eye strain and subsequent eye fatigue and improve vision by reducing blue scatter or blur. We are having a back-to-school promotion because we believe this is a very important product for children. And what it includes is a guaranteed scratch-off with purchase of clear blue filter lenses. The dispenser gives the guaranteed scratch card with each purchase. The consumer scratches and sees their prize. And if it's an entry-level prize, those will be stocked at the store for immediate redemption. If it's a higher level prize, the consumer mails in the scratch card with their contact information, and Vision Ease sends the prize to the consumer either electronically or in the mail. The prizes range from pencil case to USB drive, which will be instant redemption, or a $10, $100, or $300 gift card. And that concludes today's presentation.
All right, well, thank you, Deb. A couple questions come up if you have a couple of minutes to go over those.
Yep.
First up, can you point us to any research or resources on the best way that we can train our opticians to describe the hazards of blue light to patients? Or in other words, how can we put this in layman's terms, or what's the most effective way to translate that message?
So there's a couple things I would say. First of all, we have some really great consumer literature that was produced for us by the Skin Cancer Foundation, because only two things could be damaged by high energy light, the skin and the eyes. And that educates the consumer on the importance of protection. And we have some great white papers, and we would also be very happy to create some scripting if that would help for how to communicate in simple terms to the consumer. And one of the things that we suggest is that you simply mention the fact that blue light has been in the news lately, because now they know that some harmful light, this harmful blue light, is emitting from these screens. And basically there's two concerns associated with that. One is that it could be harming your eyes, and there's some link to macular degeneration later in life. And two, it can interfere with the normal sleep patterns, and with sleep deprivation comes health issues, behavior disorder in children, increased obesity, increased diabetes. So just having that conversation quickly with the patient. And then if we do have incredible white papers that can educate on what's actually happening in the retina It's an inflammatory response, it's a oxidative damage response, and maybe just having that little bit of background to understand how light damages. It's very high energy. You may not share that directly with the consumer, but I think it would be helpful for everyone who works with these products to understand a bit about the science behind it.
Great. And so if anyone listening would like any of those resources Deb went over, like links to that, I would say contact your Visionese rep or contact Optiport and we can track them down for you. Next up, and this is just out of curiosity, you mentioned children are most vulnerable to the hazards of blue light. With devices becoming more and more common and laptops in the classroom, do you know if the schools are doing anything with education to protect students or, translate that information to parents about the importance of eye protection and health?
I have no awareness of that happening, so I couldn't answer that. I think it would be great if that message got out. One of the things that's always struck me in this blue light conversation, and clearly we started talking about outdoor protection first, is that there's a great awareness. 87% of people know that the sun, for example, damages your skin, right? They know it can lead to skin cancer and other effects. And part of the reason for that is that there's this big consumer awareness because we have organizations dedicated to making us aware. We have our general practitioner doctors making us aware that we have to wear sunscreen, we have to protect our skin. And we just don't have anything like that happening in the optical industry. So I think maybe we could start a campaign to get the message out to schools.
Right, that'd be great. That's all that we have. Thank you, Deb, and thank you to Visionese again for sponsoring today's program. We really appreciate it, and thanks to all of you who joined us today. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks.